Hello, welcome to another episode of Samii Reporting. This is African intellectual property jurisprudence. Today, I'm going to be talking about a special subject, which I will title today's talk, African Intellectual Property and Traveling. A short title will be The Travelogue of an IP Scholar. I have been traveling. I've been fortunate to travel all around the world, and I've discovered that as an IP scholar, we could learn or benefit if we are really sensitive to it or we pay attention to it on our traveling experience. That is why I decided I'll use the next few episodes of this podcast to talk about my travelogue, my experiences, and its intersection with traveling as an IP scholar. So last year I did a lot of traveling around Africa. I traveled to Nigeria, Calabar city, beautiful city. I was in Accra in Ghana. I was in Kigali in Rwanda. I was in Cape Town in South Africa. I was in Addis Ababa, Gondar. Addis Ababa is one city, and Gondar is another city in Ethiopia. Those are the few places I traveled to. There are others, but I'll restrict for this episode my experiences as it relates to intellectual property, how it intersects with intellectual property to these 5 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, Rwanda, South Africa, and Ethiopia. Now, why is this really necessary or important? As an IP scholar, particularly an IP scholar that one of my key areas of research and teaching is traditional cultural expressions copyright, especially digital copyright and geographical indications. So traveling around Africa, there are certain common denominators I saw or I noticed that could spark or impel good intellectual property, literature, scholarship, writing, and research. I discovered that most of the cities have something unique, which under the subject of geographical indication could be of interest to a scholar. Probably you are looking for what to write on or research to do. For instance, in the city of Cape Town, they have very beautiful wildlife reserves and games and beautiful animals in the wild, and lions, elephant, springbok, some wildlife you might not even find in other parts of the world. And the fauna and the flora are unique. The topography, the environment, the vegetations are really unique. And I'm sure most of those vegetation and most of those flora might be unique geographical indications in terms of the plants there, in terms of the food. And also, in Gondar, which is an ancient city in Ethiopia, there's beautiful hills, some natural architectural landscape like one of my friends said, sculpture from the gods. I mean, some uniqueness about the soil, the color of the soil. And the food, of course, we all know about injera, the teff, a popular Ethiopian and food that years ago was a subject of patent dispute between a fellow from Netherlands and Ethiopian people. In Nigeria, Calabar, I witnessed some good traditional indigenous artwork in terms of traditional displays of their dances, their ekwe masquerade in Ekpo, the songs, which I might have to post some of the pictures at the end of this podcast online in the streaming channels that this podcast is going to be streamed on. Now, in Kigali, I saw the beautiful city-side landscape, the cultural locations, the museum, the sacred genocide museum, and we ate a lot of traditional food that is unique to the people of Rwanda. Now we are in the phase where we should promote African creativity and African ingenuity. So as IP scholars, I would encourage us as we travel, especially to these places, and more of them still, there is, I'm going to talk about Entebbe in Uganda, another episode. So if we take time and probably do a few research on most of these events and most of these natural creations that are embedded in these cities, we could bring alive all the stories we have been trying to tell in the pages of literature, papers, and we can even do more. Like a popular author once wrote, Ibn Battuta said, traveling, it leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller. I think this quote is taken from the Travels of Ibn Battuta, IBN Battutah, the Travels of Ibn Battuta. Traveling, it leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller. Yes, as IP scholars, we could be actual good storytellers. We could bring this, because there is a difference between, even if you are doing a research, you realize that when you are doing empirical research, you're writing a socio-legal paper, which you have to surveys or whatever method you are using, quantitative or qualitative research, you realize that actually the physical investigation, feeling and hearing and seeing the subjects of your research is more powerful, gives you an insight, gives you a more spark of bringing whatever it's, in your mind, whatever is struggling, whatever is amusing in your mind, it's easy to bring them to paper, and also you could make your paper richer. So for legal writers in the field of IP, especially African writers, African IP scholars and teachers, I would encourage us, like when we are traveling, or even if we are not traveling, I know these days it could be expensive, but with what is going on now in Africa, with the free trade agreements going on now in Africa, for instance, the African continental free trade agreements, and the African countries are now opening up. If you hold an African passport, I'm sure, like I experienced, if you travel to a country like Rwanda, you don't need a visa, so it's not expensive in terms of visa. And hopefully, we hope there could be more open skies where there will be direct flights from capitals connecting African countries, so that we can even do these trips cheaply and also by road. So that's the angle I wanted to, a lighter mood today, that traveling for an IP scholar could be entertainment, it could also be educational, and it could also be beneficial for your craft. As scholars, if you're teaching, writing is part of your eligibility for promotion from one rank to the other. And also as an academic, I mean, we don't want to live in the arena of theories. We have to put something down, especially now that we are trying to convince the other side of the world that African IP is real, is eligible to be recognized, is eligible to be protected by either traditional IP regimes or sui generis, special laws to protect our geographical indications, traditional cultural expressions. So, this will encourage us more, and this will also be a good tool for us to add to the literature out there, and to give our publications, scholarship, the credibility and the authenticity it requires. And probably also it could be one of the reasons why your paper will be published by a highly impactful publication for those who want to publish in index publication, which is one of the things a lot of scholars gone for. So yes, that's where I'm coming from today. Just to let us realize that traveling here it could be a little bit expensive, but it's also on the downstream, it could be also beneficial for IP scholarship. Thank you, and I'll be back sometime again in the next episode. So stay well until you hear from me again. I am Samiai reporting. Bye.